In this video, I want to show you something I've been working on and off for a while now, and it's gone through a lot of revisions, and it finally has something that I'm pretty happy with. So, this is a custom OSINT machine that I'm going to post up, and I'll show you the URL for it in a little bit. So, in previous courses, I showed people how to build a custom OSINT machine using Linux Mint. And in this one, we're using MX Linux, which is Debian again. Fantastic operating system. I love Debian. It's this one's a little bit different. It's more customized, and I have a VirtualBox VM and also a ISO that you can feel free to use. So the name for this is Tracker Smurf, and the password for this is simply Tracker to make it easy. You always can go in there and change it if you want. So let's just get this loaded in. I'll kind of give you a little tour of what's going on here. Now, this machine is, I allocated 50 gigs of space for the drive. That way it gives space to add additional programs, to save different investigation files and whatnot. I always recommend making a snapshot as soon as you load the machine, customize how you want. That way you always have a clean state to return to. So you'll see on the desktop there's a few different things here. We have Investigator Pro. I have different commands for some of the programs in here, like anon serve, Sherlock, phone info.ga, and you'll see these other things here. So copy of sock puppet generator. So this actually is another thing I've been kind of playing around with, and that's to create sock puppets. So this is an HTML file, and what I did was I set this so you could put notes in here for your sock puppets, because it's really a pain sometimes when you have a lot of sock puppets. You can't remember, oh, what did I use the sock puppet with, or who have I been talking with this particular sock puppet, especially if you're doing a couple different investigations or a couple of different things at one time. So you could put notes in here. You could choose what country, because I found that depending on what you're doing, you may want different countries here. So say if I need a sock puppet for Canada, I could put Canada. I could put whatever my notes in here are. And you simply just do generate secure persona. And I set the age between 16 and 70 because I found there's different cases where I want a different age range for people. Generally younger if I'm trying to kind of out someone that's doing sextortion, because generally I find that they'll target younger people because they're more susceptible. And if I'm trying to find someone doing financial scam, I may use someone older, because people tend to find older people to be easier targets, elderly. So I'm going to click this, and what happens is this actually generates a AI image for your little image to show people. Then it gives your age, a name, different interests, a username, date of birth, education, fictional ID, a fake address, fake phone number, fake occupation, and it gives you a password that you could use, because we can always open up temp mail here to generate a temporary email. So what you could also do is you could save this as a text file, or you could save this as a PDF. That way you can keep records of this. So just something I found that I kind of needed to set up. And again, happy to share this with everyone. This is actually on the desktop for this OS. Now, this other one here, I have different things in here for different investigations. So the first one is the client intake form, which these are all HTML to make it easier. You could put a client name, point of contact, phone number, email address, preferred communication, timeline for what the timeline of the investigation is going to be. You can set the sensitivity, how sensitive is it, team members on the case, scope of work, what's the expected outcome, additional notes. And again, you could save this as a TXT or a PDF. Once you do your client intake, I have a report generator, so you could actually generate a report for your findings, asset information, known locations, timeline information, critical other URLs, additional notes. And again, you could export to TXT or a PDF file for your client and yourself. And I find this important, internal postmortem report. So this is after you do your investigation. You turn over everything. You do a postmortem. That way you can kind of figure out, hey, what did we do right? What did we do wrong? What could we do better? And kind of go through it and analyze what happened. That way you can make sure that you improved in the investigation. Next time, make things easier for yourself. Avoid mistakes that were made. Highlight successful things that you did do. That's also important. That's just as important as highlighting things that you did wrong. Things that you did really well, you want to do that again, obviously. So this is what the internal postmortem report is. This is for you and your team, not for your client. So there's also a viewer here, and you'll see this Investigator Pro folder here. We'll get to that in a second. But this is a pretty easy operating system. The menu's down here, and you can see there's different things in here. Kate is for files. You can see graphics. There's GNU for imaging, Firefox, Discord, Brave browser, Google Earth, Qubit torrent signal is on here, the Tor browser, of course. Also have things like FreeTube, so you could actually view YouTube channels without actually having to log into it, which is extraordinarily handy, as we know. And VLC, of course, on here. LibreOffice on here to create documents and whatnot. And there's also some other programs in here to kind of help you with your investigation. Cherry Tree 4K Tube is great for downloading YouTube videos and so forth. And in the browser itself, I have some useful plugins here. We have Go Full Page, which we can take a screenshot of the full page. Proton Pass, which is a great password manager. User Agent Switcher if we need to change our browser to look like something else, like a mobile device. Wayback Machine to take snapshots of those websites that we're doing investigations of. Web page downloader, so we can download the entire web page. And we'll get back to this one in a minute. This one I'm really happy with too. But also, of course, I have the Disposable Gain Studio DGS web page here. The Start Me page, which again has a ton of useful links and information here. And in here on the introduction page here, you can see I have a download for the ISO and the OVA. If you check this out, feel free to give me feedback, things that you would like to see, things that you would like to have removed, things like that. This is a work in progress, so it is on a as-is basis. And the VM is using 4 cores, 4 gigs of memory, so not too heavy. But again, I did allocate this for 50 gigs of space for, again, installing additional programs and for saving evidence and whatnot. I also have OSINT rocks here, which is really useful. So we have G-Hunt, Whole He, Hudson Rock built in here. Sherlock Magritte. I forgot what this Tautinus. Telephone number, Ignorant and Telegram, IP domain lookup, who is OSINT Quest is here. Also found this to be a really useful tool to use. So the other thing I put in here, and if you ever use things like Hunchly, this is similar. So this is one that I've been kind of playing around with. And this will actually start recording websites also. It will take timestamps, try to start saving images, log different URLs, Pretty easy to use. All you do is do start tracking, and then you'll generally want to just refresh the page once you start tracking. That way you can start recording stuff. And it's set to actually, as you start scrolling through it, starts recording the page. Because I found that if you try to have like a really long page and it just tries to automatically scroll through in the background, it doesn't work too well. So once you're done, you do stop tracking. You download the evidence file, which is a JSON file. I'm just going to put it in the, let me put it on the desktop here. I'm just dropping in this folder here, my Investigator Pro folder. And then I'm going to wipe all local logs once I'm done. Okay, so let's, oh, wrong button. Let me close this out, not the VM. Yep, that looks like a little bug here because I actually haven't seen this before. Let me just click OK here. Close out the browser here. And then in here you will see a JSON file here. And it works pretty easy. All you do is open this viewer file here, choose the file. So I put it on the desktop, Investigator Pro, this evidence report here, and we can see that I have a date here, I have a timestamp here, I have the URL here, and as I scroll down, it started capturing more of it. So definitely not a replacement for things like Hunchly, but it is a useful tool to have on hand. So again, this is designed for things that I find useful. Things like CSI Linux, Kali Linux, Parrot OS, and all that. Fantastic operating system. Highly recommend them. However, as you start getting more and more in your investigations, you're going to probably find that, hey, I don't use half these tools. I don't use 3/4 of these tools. I use these set of tools that I find useful, and that's what I use. Occasionally I'll find other things. So that's why I made this thing. It doesn't have nearly as many tools as CSI Linux or Kali and whatnot, and that's because I don't see a personal need for all those tools. I see why they did that, because you put a ton of tools in there, people use different things, it's all there already. But as I've been doing this more and more, I find that having a slimmer operating system with some really useful tools is more beneficial to me. That I'm not kind of clicking through all these different menus looking for, okay, well, I need this one tool, it's here, let me get past these other tools and use one I want. So again, feel free to grab this. It's free. Customize it however you want. You know, you can build your own, and later on I probably will make a video on how did you set this one up, built from scratch for setting up your own personal OSINT VM and ISO. Because again, like I said, you can create an ISO out of this, which is really cool. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next video.